My fiancée asked for a break to be with her ex. She said her mom was sick, but when I drove 3 hours to her hometown, I found her laughing with him, and what she confessed left me speechless. I'm 29 years old, work in digital marketing, and I still can't believe this shit happened to me, honestly. I was with Amanda for almost 4 years, engaged for the last 8 months, and basically she decided that our relationship was something she could pause and resume whenever it was convenient for her, like I was a Netflix series or something. What happened left me so confused that even now, months later, I'm still trying to understand how someone can do something like that and think it's okay. I met Amanda when I was 25. She was 23. It was at a mutual friend's party, nothing too special at first. We just talked for a while about work and movies, the typical party conversations. But there was something about her that caught my attention. She was smart, funny, had this laugh that filled the entire room. I asked for her number, and we started dating. The first few months were amazing, like that stage where everything is perfect and you can't stop thinking about the other person. We'd spend weekends together, watch shows until 3 in the morning, cook weird things we found on the internet. I was happy, or so I thought. Amanda came from a town like 3 hours from the city where I lived, a small place where everyone knows each other and basically nothing happens. She had moved to the city for college and stayed for work, but she always talked about her town with a lot of affection, said she missed the tranquility, her family, that kind of thing. I understood her. I mean, it's normal to miss where you come from, right? But the thing is, she went often. Like every 2 or 3 weeks, she'd spend a weekend there, and I sometimes went with her, but not always because, I don't know, her family was kind of weird with me. It's not that they were rude, but I felt like they didn't quite accept me, like I was the city guy who had stolen their daughter or something. The relationship moved pretty fast, I guess. After 2 years, we were already living together, sharing a small but nice apartment near downtown. She worked in human resources for a tech company, me at my marketing agency, and things worked well. We had our fights, obviously, like all couples, but nothing serious. Most of the time we were good. We made plans together, talked about the future, and then came the moment when I decided I wanted to marry her. I proposed to her in December, like a year and 3 months ago. I did it at an Italian restaurant she loved. Nothing too flashy because Amanda always said she hated over-the-top proposals, like flash mobs or with 100 balloons. I bought a ring that cost me like 3 months' salary. Honestly, I can't even think about that now without wanting to punch something. But, whatever. She said yes. She cried. I cried. It was perfect. We started planning the wedding for October of this year. She was super excited about everything. Looking for dresses, choosing the venue, making endless guest lists. I thought I had finally found the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with. You know what I mean? Everything started to change in March. Amanda told me she needed to go to her town for a few weeks because her mom wasn't feeling well, something with her heart, and she wanted to be there to take care of her. I told her, of course, to go for as long as she needed, that I'd be fine. What I didn't expect was the conversation we had the day before she left. We were packing her things, and she sat on the bed with that face you make when you're about to say something serious, and she told me, "Nathan, I think I need some time to think." I was like, "What?" And she kept explaining that with everything about the wedding and her mom being sick, she felt overwhelmed, that she needed space to process her emotions, that it wasn't anything personal. I asked her if she wanted to cancel the wedding, and she said no, that she just needed a few weeks to clear her head. At that moment I was confused, but I tried to be understanding. I told her I got it, to take the time she needed. Amanda left the next day. And the first few days we talked normally through messages and calls. She'd tell me how her mom was doing, I'd tell her things about work. But after like a week, her responses started getting shorter and more spaced out. I'd ask her how she was, and she'd respond, "Fine," without further explanation. I tried calling her several times and she wouldn't answer, or she'd call me back very late saying she'd been busy. In my head, all the alarms started going off, but I tried to convince myself that she was just going through a difficult time with her mom. 2 more weeks passed, and communication basically died completely. Amanda stopped responding to my messages, wouldn't answer my calls, nothing. I was going crazy, literally couldn't sleep thinking about what was happening. I talked to my friends about this, Jason and Ashley, and both of them told me something weird was going on, that nobody disappears like that from their fiancé without a good reason. Ashley was more direct. She told me, "Bro, she's with someone else. I'm sure of it." I didn't want to believe it. Like Amanda and I were getting married. How could she be with someone else? After 3 complete weeks of silence, I made a decision. I got in my car, a 2019 Toyota Corolla I had just paid off, and drove the 3 hours to Amanda's town. I didn't tell her I was coming. I knew if I told her she'd give me some excuse not to go. I arrived around 2 in the afternoon, went straight to her parents' house because it was the only place I knew she could be. I knocked on the door and Amanda's mom opened it. She looked perfectly fine, by the way. Nothing about heart problems. And when she saw me, she got super uncomfortable. She asked me what I was doing there, and I told her I needed to talk to Amanda. Asked her where, and she didn't want to tell me. Just said I should better leave. I didn't leave. I stood outside like an idiot waiting for Amanda to show up. Around 4 in the afternoon, I saw her arrive, but she wasn't alone. She was walking down the street with a guy, laughing, super relaxed, and when she saw me, the smile completely disappeared from her face. The guy was about my height, dark hair, and from the way she reacted, I knew immediately who he was. It was her ex-boyfriend, the guy she dated before moving to the city. Amanda had told me about him vaguely. They had been together in high school and a bit after, but supposedly they had ended things well and no longer had contact. Amanda approached and said something to the guy. He looked at me with a mix of confusion and superiority, like saying, "Poor you," and he left. She walked towards me and the first thing she said was, "What are you doing here?" I was so angry I could barely speak. I told her, "Are you seriously asking me that? It's been 3 weeks since I've heard from you, and you show up here with your ex, like nothing's wrong." She tried to explain herself, said they had run into each other by chance at the supermarket, that they had just gone for coffee to catch up because they were old friends. I asked her why, then she had been ignoring me for weeks, why she had asked for a break, why her mom was perfectly fine when supposedly she was sick with heart problems. Amanda was quiet for a moment and then admitted, "Well, my mom isn't sick. I lied to you about that. I needed to come here because when I asked you for the break, it was because I saw Tyler, that's the ex's name, on social media, and I realized I still felt something for him, that I had unresolved things, and I needed to come clarify my feelings. I couldn't believe what I was hearing," I told her. "So, you asked me for a break to come be with your ex. Is that what you're telling me?" She started crying, said she didn't know what to do, that she loved me, but that she also needed to know if what she felt for Tyler was real or just nostalgia. I told her that was the most selfish thing anyone had ever done to me in my life, that I couldn't believe she was playing with me like that. She kept crying, saying she was sorry, that she didn't want to hurt me. I told her I needed time to think, that I couldn't be there at that moment because if I stayed, I was going to say things I'd regret. I got in the car and drove back to the city with my hands shaking and feeling like someone had emptied me out from the inside. The whole way I was thinking about all the moments we had spent together, about how we had planned our life, and about how she had thrown all of that in the trash for an ex she hadn't even talked about in years. The following weeks were horrible. Amanda wrote me a couple of times saying she needed more time, that she was still in her town trying to sort out her things. I barely responded. I'd tell her, okay or whatever, because, honestly, I didn't know what else to say. I talked a lot with Jason and Ashley during that time. They supported me a ton. Ashley told me I had to break up with her, that it was obvious Amanda didn't value me, that if someone truly loves you, they don't do these things. Jason was a bit more cautious, said maybe Amanda was going through a crisis and that I should give her the benefit of the doubt, but even he admitted that what she had done was super wrong. Like 5 weeks passed since I confronted Amanda in her town, and in that time we practically didn't talk. I was trying to process everything, going to work like a robot, coming home and lying down staring at the ceiling. I had canceled some wedding things, like the deposit on the venue we had reserved, but I hadn't done anything official yet because part of me still had hope that things could work out, even though another part of me knew that was impossible after what had happened. And then Amanda showed up. Literally showed up. One Saturday morning at the apartment, used her key because I never asked her to give it back, and walked in like nothing had happened. I was in pajamas drinking coffee when I saw her come in with a suitcase, smiling, saying, "Hi, my love, I'm back." I froze. She put the suitcase on the floor, came over and tried to hug me, but I pulled back and asked her, "What are you doing here?" She looked at me confused and said, "I came back. I'm done thinking and I'm ready to continue with the wedding plans." Isn't that great? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told her, "Do you really think you can show up here after 5 weeks without talking to me, after admitting you were with your ex to sort out your feelings, and expect us to continue like nothing happened?" Amanda seemed genuinely surprised by my reaction. Said yes, that she had taken her time like we had agreed, and now she was ready to come back. I explained to her that's not how things worked, that she couldn't just pause our relationship when it was convenient for her and resume it when she wanted. She started getting defensive, saying that I had said she could take the time she needed, that it was unfair that I was now getting angry about it. The conversation escalated quickly. I asked her what had happened with Tyler. If they had been together, if they had slept together. She got uncomfortable and told me that didn't matter, that what mattered was that she had decided she wanted to be with me. That answer told me everything I needed to know. I told her, "I need you to give me back the engagement ring." She looked at me like I had hit her, asked why, and I told her, "Because this engagement is over. Amanda, I can't marry someone who treats me like a second choice, like a plan B you come back to when things don't work out with the one you really wanted." Amanda started crying, saying it wasn't like that I was her first choice, that she loved me, but I was already decided. I repeated for her to give me back the ring, and she finally took it off her finger and gave it to me. I held it in my hand, that ring that had cost so much money and so much effort to choose, and I felt a mix of sadness and relief. I told her she needed to leave, to please pack her things and take everything she had in the apartment. She kept crying, begging that we talk, but I stayed firm. After like an hour of drama, she finally packed some boxes with her clothes and personal things and left. The following days were weird. I felt free but also empty. You know what I mean? I had ended something that had been a huge part of my life for 4 years, and even though I knew I had done the right thing, it hurt anyway. And then something unexpected happened. Sophie, a friend of Amanda's, wrote me. Sophie and I had talked a couple of times at parties and gatherings. She seemed like a good person. She sent me a message saying she had found out what happened between Amanda and me, that she was very sorry, and that if I needed to talk to someone, she was there. I honestly appreciated the gesture. I responded, thanking her, and we started writing to each other a bit. Sophie told me she had also had problems with Amanda recently, that she felt she had changed a lot since she returned to her town, that she wasn't the same person anymore. After a week of messages, Sophie suggested we meet up for coffee, just as friends, to vent a bit. I accepted because honestly, I needed to get out of my apartment and talk to someone who understood the situation. We met at a coffee shop downtown on a Wednesday afternoon. Sophie arrived in jeans and a hoodie, super casual, and we sat down to talk for like 2 hours. She told me more about Amanda, things I didn't know. Like apparently she had been talking to Tyler on social media for months before asking me for the break. That whole story about needing time to think had basically been an excuse to try things out with him without feeling guilty. Hearing that hurt me but also confirmed I had made the right decision in ending everything. Sophie was easy to talk to, empathetic, didn't judge. And when we said goodbye, I felt a bit better. We decided to do it again, this time a dinner at a Thai restaurant she knew. There was nothing romantic about it, at least on my part. It was just two people spending time together and supporting each other. But apparently Amanda didn't see it that way. Like a week after our second outing, Amanda showed up at my apartment again, this time knocking on the door like crazy at 10 at night. I opened and she came in furious, yelling about how I dared to be going out with her friend, that it was a betrayal, that I was only doing it to hurt her. I couldn't believe the nerve. I told her, "Amanda, you and I broke up. What I do with my life is no longer your problem, and besides, Sophie and I are just friends, which is more than you can say about your relationship with Tyler." She kept yelling, saying I had always been an idiot, that I would regret leaving her, that Tyler was a better person than me. At that moment, something in me broke. All the sadness and confusion I had felt turned into rage. I told her, "You know what, Amanda? You're right. Tyler is probably a better person than me, so go be with him and leave me alone once and for all. I'm tired of your drama. I need you to leave right now and not come back. I'm serious." She was quiet for a second. I think she expected me to give in, like I probably had in other fights. But this time, I didn't. I told her if she didn't leave, I was going to call the police, and she finally left, slamming the door that the neighbors probably heard. After that, I wrote to Sophie explaining what had happened, apologizing for getting her into that mess. She was super understanding, said not to worry, that Amanda wasn't her friend anyway after everything that had happened. I clarified that I only wanted her friendship at that moment, that I wasn't looking for anything romantic with anyone because I was still processing everything, and she said she understood perfectly that that was her intention too. Things started to calm down after that, or so I thought. But like 2 weeks later, I started noticing weird things. I'd see Amanda's car, a red Mazda 3, parked near my work or near the supermarket where I did my shopping. At first I thought it was coincidence, but it happened too often. One day, I literally saw her waiting outside my building when I left in the morning, just watching me from her car. I took a picture and sent her a message saying, "Amanda, I know you're following me. I need you to stop this right now. It's sick, and it's not going to change anything." She responded saying she just wanted to talk, that she needed us to understand things. I responded that there was nothing to understand, that everything was perfectly clear, that she had chosen to explore a relationship with her ex while we were engaged, and that I had chosen to end our relationship because of that, period. I told her if she kept stalking me, I was going to have to take more serious measures, like a restraining order or something. I didn't want to get to that because it sounded too dramatic, but honestly, I was considering it. After that message, Amanda finally stopped. I didn't see her lurking around where I was anymore. She stopped writing me, and everything calmed down. It's been like 3 months since then. I sold the engagement ring to a jewelry store for less than half of what I paid, which hurt, but I needed to get rid of it. I used that money to go on vacation alone to Cancun for a week, something I had never done, and it was weird but also liberating to be there without having to worry about anyone but myself. I still talk to Sophie from time to time. We're still friends and nothing more. Jason and Ashley invite me out often, trying to keep me busy and distracted. I've started going to the gym more often, something I had stopped doing when I was with Amanda because she said I spent too much time there. I've also been working on a personal marketing project I always wanted to do, but never had time for. Things aren't perfect. Obviously, there are days where I still think about everything that happened and wonder if I did the right thing, if I should have given her another chance, if I was too harsh. But most days I feel good about my decision. Amanda treated me like I was something she could put in a drawer while she went out to see if she could find something better, and when what she wanted didn't work out, she thought she could come back, and I'd be there waiting for her like an idiot. And maybe a few years ago, I would have been that idiot, but not now. I learned that self-respect is more important than any relationship, even one you invested 4 years of your life in. Last week, my mom asked me if I was dating anyone new. I told her no, that I wasn't in a hurry, that I was fine alone for now. She hugged me and told me I looked calmer than I did months ago. And I think she's right. I'm not saying I'm completely happy or that I've gotten over everything, because there are still nights where I think about the good moments with Amanda and it hurts to remember how it all ended. But I'm better. Definitely better than when I was waiting for her to decide if I was enough for her or not. If anyone asks me if I regret anything, I think I only regret not seeing the signs earlier. Looking back, Amanda was always a bit evasive about her town and her past, always said her life began when she moved to the city, like she wanted to leave everything behind but never really did. I should have asked her more about Tyler when she first mentioned him. I should have noticed when she started being distant months before asking for the break. But I guess when you're in love or think you're in love, you ignore the things you don't want to see. For now, I'm focused on myself, on my work, on my friends, on the things that make me happy. I don't know if I'm going to trust someone again, in the same way I trusted Amanda. Honestly, I don't know. But I do know that the next time I'm with someone, it's going to be with someone who sees me as their first choice from day one, not as a safe plan B to come back to when things get difficult. That's the minimum someone deserves in a relationship, and it took me 29 years and a broken engagement to understand it, but at least now I know.